Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am going to be very brief, but just imagine how many times you've had risk on agricultural production today. I lost count in the first session, so I was actually going to see how much it's mentioned, but it's been mentioned a lot. So it's the time we actually transferred the risk from the farmer to the third party, insurance. I'm going to present to you about index-based insurance product that was piloted in Kenya to respond exactly to the climate risk that we had over and over again by the panelists and presenters since morning. And we cannot underscore the effects of climate change on agricultural production, especially if you look at mobile pastoral producers like the ones in northern Kenya. Picture this. The first graph actually tells you about the income from the income sources of people living in northern Kenya. And you can see the blue part which says livestock. The second one says the risks causing livestock mortality, the same livestock they get their income from. And the blue one is drought. So we can say, or we can conclude from here, that drought is actually the major cause of livestock deaths and income loss to these pastoralists. So in 2010, first of all, before I go there, briefly, and this is a bit complex, so please allow me to explain a bit. This is how index insurance works. Unlike traditional insurance, it's not based on people coming to assess your loss. How much did you lose during the flood? How much did you lose during the drought? It's actually based on satellite reading of the available pasture, and based on that, a compensation is made in a geographical area to the pastoralists living and who have bought premiums, insurance premiums in that area. If I can just tell you the difference between the traditional and the index insurance, that is the process that is involved in accessing finance from a traditional insurance perspective. And it has all those processes. From the index insurance, then we have only 3 processes, so it's shortened. So that is how briefly and very, I skipped a lot of things. That is how it works. This was actually started in Kenya by International Livestock Research Institute with a lot of research support from Cornell University. This particular documentation was actually funded by CTA. So thank you very much, CTA, for all the support. So it was started implementing in Marsabit, which is in northern Kenya. And since then, it has actually moved to a few other counties in northern Kenya. So that is the area of operation. If you can see the map of Africa, then Kenya and Ethiopia, and the shaded areas are the areas of operation. So I'll skip that. This is the sort of outcome that have come out of the pilots. And so you can see a bit of fluctuation, but sort of increasing demand for this livestock product. I'll jump on to the impacts of it. So please bear with me again, I'm rushing through this. In terms of production, we've seen the outcome, the hard survival for pastoral households has increased because they use this product. And because of that, they actually increase more investment in their herds, and so production has improved. So in terms of the production, this is a very good risk transfer tool for pastoralists to the third party, which is the insurance firm here. In terms of welfare, and this is interesting both to governments, NGOs, and also private sectors who are doing corporate social responsibility, we've increased a lot of, we've seen a lot of increase in the reduction of distressed sales. What livestock keepers do when they experience a drought is to sell off their livestock. And this distressed sale leads to a lot of losses because they don't get much out of it. Another coping strategy for most pastoral households is for you to escape drought, you just skip your meals and then you save money. So this, in terms of welfare, has been very effective because they don't have to escape meals. And of course, this has a lot of impact on child malnutrition and also sort of, nutrition of the family in general. I'll skip that. In terms of where we are and where do we move from here, I think there's been a lot of gains. And once we can build on these gains, then we are able to disseminate this product and actually make it available to 10 million pastoralists in East Africa alone. And so this not only, sort of provide opportunities for poverty reduction, but it actually provides opportunities for investment in these areas which have experienced a lot of, private sector shying away from these areas. And of course, the larger number of pastoralists in the larger Horn of Africa then provides the market for all this, which is a good thing, especially from the investment point of view. And then again, scaling up means, more reach and also more investment in these areas, which is very crucial for development of livestock sector. I've rushed through this a lot, so if you need more information, that is the website where you can get all the information and contacts for livestock insurance in northern Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Achiba. You can make sure he's got a flight to catch, so way above time, and thank you for sharing some of those innovations with us. Our next speaker is going to be talking about ICTS for improving climate resilience, and it's presented by Professor Idowu Oladele from Northwestern University here in South Africa. So, Prof, welcome and nice to have you with us.
Thank you. This to go. Yeah, good evening once again. And for the sake of time, I'll just go straight to this. This is also one of the climate solutions that works, that is supported by CTA in one of the projects that the call for proposal was made. I'm talking about improving farmer resilience in Kenya and Ethiopia. And we use what we refer to as agro-weather tools. Now, we talk about climate-smart agriculture, and we are responding to it to ensure that we have practices and interventions that are water-smart, energy-smart, nutrient-smart, crop-smart, and weather-smart interventions. And due to the fact that a lot of farmers are practicing rain-fed agriculture, and because of that, they need intervention to be able to take real-time decision on their actions for the different stages in their agronomic practices for the crops they produce. Now, for this project, the agro-weather tool, we are in collaboration with the meteorological organization in Ethiopia and Kenya, the Agricultural Research Institutes, the extension offices, Safaricom in Kenya, and Ethiokom, mobile service provider in Ethiopia, and then the agro input dealers in both countries, and then the farmers group, of course, as the main person. And then that's the stage of going through the whole process before these information are delivered. Now, these are the different stages of meeting with different stakeholders and harmonizing our actions, building alliances and partnerships for us to be able to get the information right back to the farmers. This is the page of the Ethiopian Institute for Agricultural Research, which is the domain for the agro-weather tool, and this is the domain in Kenya, which is hosted by NAFIS, National Agricultural Farmer Information Service for Kenya. And those are examples of what the agro-weather tools will generate when you try to go on it. Now, using a decision support system, we are able to use a georeference simulation model based on historical data for climate to be able to predict information from pre-cultivation to post-harvest activities. And these are coupled with the ability of the simulation model to release information to farmers through SMS, and we can generate electronic or physical bulletins, and we can also use IVR, that the interactive voice response, for maize, beans, coffee, sorghum, and tea in Kenya, for teff, wheat, chickpeas, and lentils in Ethiopia. So for each of the agronomic decision the farmer has to make, there will be an SMS released from the agro weather tool station to the farmers, which will reach them as SMSs, as bulletins on their cell phones, and they can also have codes to call in order to get information back from the center. And that has been able to help them in taking their decision. So they are able to take real-time decision, because there will be a forecast that says 60 days of rainfall in 2015. What are we going to do within these 60 days for farmers to be able to take the opportunity that is available through this forecast? So farmers will be given SMS when to start planting, preparing their land, when to plant, when to weed, when to apply fertilizer, when to spray, when to harvest, and when to carry out each of those activities. Now, because of the high level of phone subscription, it's more advantageous for us using the SMSs. And this is an example of the bulletin, which is easily retrievable rather than the SMS in Kiembu, Swahili, and English in Kenya. And this is in Amharic. We also have it in Oromia, Oromifa, in Ethiopia as a language. The two countries where this was happening. Because it's a solution based on the need of the farmers, and the farmer demonstrated enough readiness for them to be able to use the information, as well as the sources of information being multilingual. This has helped in the adoption. In fact, we recorded information spillover to all other crops that are now covered in the project. These are different sources of information that we carried out, and to determine the impact, we compared the beneficiary, those farmers who received information through the agro-weather tools, with those who did not receive the agro-weather information from the agro-weather tools. And these are coefficient of variation for teff and maize in this particular case. For all other crops, they are available. It was a project by the World Bank, sponsored by the Bank of Netherlands, and promoted by CTA, like I said at the beginning. So now, the impact was there was an increase in income and through yield as much as 30% for the farmers that we cover in those two places for the crops that I mentioned to you. And there is a change in the crop variety that's been demanded, because we needed a variety that will complete the cycle within the forecasted period of rainfall. The proportion of loss by the beneficiary was lower than the non-beneficiaries. The amount of input they use, fertilizer, and all of that, and then the expenses, the labor use, the cost of input, and all other things associated with production. Input, associated labor related to the adoption of the information is very critical for farmers to take up all of this, and the willingness on the part of farmers. So when the information is released through SMS or bulletin, we have staff on ground who will go to the farms to monitor and ensure that they are actually using it. And the information is both prescriptive and advisory. You have to do this within these 7 days. You have to do it. It's prescriptive. But the fact that you don't have to do it today alone, you can still do it within these 5 days, makes it advisory, and farmers are able to manage their way and be able to get that done. And also, in terms of the data, it is collected at the national level from the meteorological data, but cascaded into each of the local areas and georeferenced to particular locations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Oladele. We wish you and Dr. Gargule a safe flight back home, and thank you for being with us at the Global Forum on Innovation in Agriculture, Africa, Durban 2015. Friends, we're moving on now to Seeds for Needs initiative, and this will be presented by Dr. Carlo Fadda, theme leader for Productive Agricultural Ecosystems, Bioversity International, based in Ethiopia. So please put your hands together for Dr. Carlo Fadda.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Mamta. Mamta told me it's definitely hotter. This has been the situation for the last 5 years, and now both summer and winters are extreme. The rains that we had recently for 2 days, it has done nothing but harm all the crop. Yes, there is a change in weather condition. Even if our village is a bit change in temperature, it was a very cold place in the past, but now it has become hot. Now, Mamta and Tilahun are an Indian and Ethiopian farmers that are facing a big problem. They have a problem of adapting to climate change, and they're not alone. The same problem is faced by other 500 million smallholder farmers around the world. And climate change is real, and we know that there are climate predictions, and those climate predictions tell us that the weather in East Africa, for example, is going to be hotter, but there are a lot of uncertainties about rainfall. Some models predict that it's going to be raining more, some it's going to be less, some is the same but with different rainfall distribution. So how can we really make those farmers adapting to climate change under those uncertainties? And there is one solution to that, and the solution is about diversification. The farmers need to diversify, because if they put all the eggs in one basket in the fall, the eggs are going to break and they remain with nothing. Now, I was asking, I would like to ask you, what does your financial advisor tell you if you go and ask them how to invest your money? And I'm asking because I raised that same question to my financial advisor. And the answer was, you know, Carlo, there is a lot of uncertainties. Chinese economy is slowing down, BRICS economy is slowing down, Europe is not that healthy either. There are a lot of crises around the world. So you better diversify your investment, because if something fails, something else will work. And that is exactly what we should advise the farmers if we are wise, because climate change is exactly what an unstable financial and economic landscape is for our investment. And the seeds is the money, is the most valuable resources of the farmers. So they need to have a multitude of it. And just to give you another example, if you grow wheat, wheat is very sensitive to heat when it flowers, because the flowers can burn. And if you burn the flowers, there is no grain, so no flowers, no harvest. Now, if you give farmers different varieties with different flowering time, then it's very unlikely that an eventual heat spike that actually, according to the climate change prediction, can become much more frequent, will affect all the varieties combined. So maybe one flowers are burned, but the others will do well. So that is a bit what we should advise, diversify again. And this is exactly what we want to do, and what we are trying to do at Bioversity International with a program called the Seeds for Needs. The Seeds for Needs is a program that raises information about how to diversify, because it's easy to say, oh, you diversify, but much of the information is not there. So what we did, we went to the National Gene Bank of Ethiopia, where there is a collection of 7,000 varieties of durum wheat, And we create a subset of these, of about 400 varieties, and we put them in the field. We want to see if these varieties can provide adaptation to climate change. And we asked the farmers to come. The farmers told us which were the most preferred varieties, and we were very happy. We did our agronomic analysis, we did the genetic analysis, and we had the farmers' information. But then the question was, how do we move from it? Because when the farmers came and evaluated this panel of 400 varieties that, by the way, also included almost all the improved varieties that are released in Ethiopia, we wouldn't know how to actually make value of it, because the farmers come and there is a nice party, we all drink and eat, the farmers tell us what they think about this diversity, but at the end of the day, we don't know how those varieties would perform under farming conditions, under their own management practices, under their own soil conditions. So we thought, is there a solution for that? And the answer was, well, yeah, maybe instead of asking the farmers to come to our plot, we can go to their plot. So from the subset that the farmers selected, we took bags similar to this one, 3. We put blind varieties into those bags, and we gave them to the farmers in a small amount, very small amount, and the farmers had to grow under their own conditions. And then we asked the farmers to give us a feedback. And we also go to the farmers' fields, and we take some agronomic measures. So we can, and if we put a sensor that measures temperature on a constant basis, we could know exactly the performance of these varieties under different climatic conditions, and we could know what farmers think about our variety. So this is a bit how the Seeds for Needs work. And we learned a lot. We learned how farmers get their criteria. And we also learned that these farmers' varieties taken out of the National Gene Bank can outperform the released varieties under those marginal conditions by up to 60%. Imagine, we could have increased productivity from 2.4 tons per hectare up to 3.5 tons per hectare using those farmers' varieties. And that is a huge difference for the farmers if those productivity can be achieved under their own condition. And we learned that farmers are actually using all sorts of funny criteria. One farmer told me, you know what I did? I cut the straw, I put the straw in different blocks, and they asked my cow to eat it. And the one the cow was eating first was his first choice. The one second eaten was the second choice, and so on. It's funny, yes, but it makes sense, because the cow is a much more important source of income for that farmer than the grain. So if the cow is happy, the family is happy. Now, this is a bit what the Seeds for Needs is about. We are doing it in 10 countries. It works everywhere because it builds on farmers. Farmers are at the centers. Farmers are scientists together with us. So we are doing in 10 countries, in 3 continents, on crops ranging from sorghum, barley, durum wheat, cowpea, etc., rice, and it works well. Now, a final note, now there are more than 150 head of states meeting in Paris trying to address the issue of climate change. And to address climate change for these 500 million smallholder farmers and the 2.5 billion that these smallholder farmers are feeding, we need all solutions. And we think that genetic diversity is definitely one of the solution. And we think that without genetic diversity, crop diversity, we cannot feed the world in the future. But with it, we can not only feed the world, but we can also sustain our planet. Thank you.
Our sincere appreciation to Dr. Carlo Fadda. Very interesting. Reminded me of some words that John Lennon and Paul McCartney once wrote when they said, living is easy with eyes closed. Misunderstanding is all you see. Our second to last speaker in this session is Olivier Crespo, and he's speaking on behalf of NASA GISS South Africa. So please put your hands together for Olivier Crespo.
To go next. Cool. Good afternoon all. There is no NASA in South Africa as far as I know, but I'm working with NASA in the US, and I'm going to talk about the AgMIP project. How can the agricultural model intercomparison and improvement project, or AgMIP, help with local to global food productivity in Africa. AgMIP rose from a simple observation. Crop models are not perfect, but they're amazingly useful tools to improve knowledge about and management of crop systems, as well as their productivity. They deal with crop rotation, management, crop breeding, under known and present conditions, as well as under unknown and, for instance, climate changing conditions. But crop models are field-based tools, and despite so many studies across the world, detailed studies that have an undeniable scientific and applicable value at the study-specific time and space scale, it is difficult to aggregate knowledge from those various experiments. This is because there are so many crop models dealing with different crops, targeting different aims, and at different resolution steps, each with different set of strengths and weaknesses. But if we could have a common scale that enables us to compare those numerous studies, we could see emerging more clearly agricultural system knowledge and information based on local conditions, which with climate and economic context, scaled up to information relevant in time and in space to decision makers in a province, a country, a region, or the whole of Africa. AgMIP is such a scale. AgMIP has been developing a unique framework for the last 5 years, and as far as I know, it is the only crop multi-model framework that envisions to deal at a global scale with a climate and economic contextualized agricultural production assessment, locally informed, based on any crop model available. The project is a global initiative led by the US and GISS and Australian experts. It provides scientific and technical support in terms of climate scenario, crop modeling, IT, stakeholder engagement, and economic modeling. It coordinates international experts' involvement in supporting regional teams across the world. It coordinates crop-specific model improvements, efforts through the aggregation of knowledge across countries and different growing conditions, as well as it partly funds regional teams in Asia, South America, and 5 in sub-Saharan Africa. Oops, sorry. The basic approach is relatively simple and most importantly independent of the locations or the crop model you use. It revolves around a recurrent stream of climate information feeding into multiple crop models, stimulating multiple crops to assess production and its economic consequences. Track 1 set up the best possible current historical stream of climate crop economic modeling and validated it at field scale. This first stage allows to simulate likely impact of climate change on our current agricultural systems, as well as possible improvement of those systems. The focus is mostly on building a solid baseline and improving where possible crop models. Track 2, model our future agricultural systems. Not only the climate, but for instance, technology, policies, knowledge, skills are expected to change as well. AgMIP makes provision for those, though in a lesser details, and allow for the exploration of such a future agricultural system under future climate conditions, and use this to explore the efficiency and value of a range of sustainable adaptation options. It certainly comes with a number of constraints. For instance, the time horizon. AgMIP looks 20, 30 years ahead into the future, up until the end of the century, and it will not help assessing the challenges that El Niño is bringing in Southern Africa this year, as well as it cannot help a farmer to plan this year or next year's season. But it is building a consistent multi-model framework with the necessary formats and tools for others to use that enables to build new and compare existing studies, and based on those local evidences, it allows the emergence of local to global knowledge and information describing food production. AgMIP comes with numerous challenges and numerous opportunities. The range of expertises that are involved in the progress of AgMIP, from climate to agricultural system, IT, policy engagement, put it in the center of many, some AgMIP-driven satellite efforts. For instance, it presents a unique modeling opportunity to study cross-cutting challenges such as the propagation of uncertainty from climate through to impact models, or the aggregation and scaling up of agricultural information. It brings new benchmarks and never before experimented conditions for some models that allows for improvement of those or specific crops. It highlights the needs and brings in locally relevant interactions such as livestock and pastures or pests and diseases. And all those combined efforts directly feed into regional integrated assessment and ultimately to a better understanding of agricultural systems. I'm going to go. How do I go back? The AgMIP is articulated around four core questions. Whether the climate has a negative impact as plotted on the left-hand side or a positive impact as plotted on the right-hand side, and it is likely to vary across locations. The four questions are as follows. Question 1, what is the sensitivity of current agricultural production system to climate change? This is an assessment of climate change impact on current agricultural systems, or what would be the consequences of a future climate if nothing else changes. Question 2, what are the benefits of adaptation in these current agricultural systems? This focuses on adaptation potential under current conditions and what we could change already. Question 3, what is the impact of climate change in future agricultural production system? This is an assessment of climate change impact on a future developed, evolved state of agricultural systems, or what will be the consequences of climate change, assuming agricultural systems themselves have changed. And finally, what are the benefits of climate change adaptations, exploring adaptation ways into the future under these future systems. And I wanted to end with the AgMIP mission, which is to provide effective science-based agricultural decision-making models and assessments of climate variability and change and sustainable farming system to achieve local to global food security. Please go and find more on the website and grab any of your regional AgMIP involved experts. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivier. I'm quite impressed. Everyone's sticking to time. And our final speaker in the session, and then we'll break for a short tea interval. And then His Excellency Ambassador Eric Schulz is here, and he'll be giving us a few words on saving Africa's wildlife, agriculture's part of the solution. So that's what's lined up within the next hour to hour and a half. In this session, though, our final speaker is talking about Power Up Your Plants, seed treatment, presented by Youssef Khoulous, Alliance, he's with Koppert in Netherlands. So, Youssef, you're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Alan.
Nice to have you here, and here's your clicker.
Thank you very much. Well, I see that the name of my colleague Pitiens is still there. By the way, I'm not supposed to give the presentation, but I said, okay, let me do it. He has a delay of 48 hours with his plane, and I told him, let me do the presentation, take your rest, and I will tell the story by myself. As I'm more in the field with the product that I'm presenting now. Let me see how this works. Power up the plants. I think some of you, or almost all of you, had already a short introduction about Koppert, done by our CEO this morning, in the morning session. As Koppert, we are a Dutch company specialized in indoor crops, mainly providing biological solutions for pest control, disease control, and pollination. Let's say the focus was mainly at the first decades of the creation of the company, focusing on the indoor. But the last 10 years, I would say that the focus of the company was towards outdoor crops, meaning that a big terrain of opportunities is open for Koppert to develop new products that can be used into the agriculture. Then we speak about the row crops, but also the vegetables outdoor. When we talk about outdoor, mainly in our organization, we talk about the use of microbials. Microbials, meaning beneficial microbials that lives in symbiosis with the plant. There's an interaction between the plant and the microbes, mainly the root system, and they exchange They trade within each other. Let's say the plant is given sugar, and the microorganisms, on the other hand, they provide water or they provide other minerals, and they trade in the soil. So from that point of view, this is a picture of some microbials that we have. I think on the right side, it's the trichoderma. The middle, it's the bacilli, bacteria. And on the left side, it's the mycorrhiza. We did a lot of trials with the product we were testing for a few years now in different parts of the world, different continents. As you can see, Africa is also on the map with different spots, different areas where we have tested our product. Europe is also a spot where a lot of trials were done with this with this new product of Koppert, and it's based on seed dressing. But as you can see on this map, that we did trials, independent trials. These are the CRO, the blue marks. And we did also marketing trials we conducted by ourselves within the organization in different parts of the world. We do the follow-up and we do the statistics at the end. This one are done on maize and wheat. Also South Africa, by the way, is on the map. And there we did also some trials, efficacy trials, just to test and to see what will be the benefit of the use of the microbials we are using. The outcome of the official trials, the one we have seen in blue, the blue spots, showing this trend in wheat and maize. And let's say we come up with the conclusion that in almost both crops, we have an average increase of 15% after the seed treatments we have done. The product name, just to be more concrete, it's called Panoramics. It's an ideal mix of different microorganisms. We call it a consortium of different microorganisms with a beneficial impact and an outcome on the crops, but also on the yields. It's all based, so that means that it sticks to the seed. It can stay there for quite some time. Liquid concentrate that compromises the following the plant growth and let's say promoting microorganisms, which are the mycorrhiza and the trichoderma and the multiple bacilli species we also include into this one. And it's also a co-formulant. If you ask me what are the strengths of the products, of this product, the Panoramics, I would say the boost, it's boosting the pest resistance, making it less susceptible to disease. It has a biostimulant effect, let's say stimulating the growth of the crop, increase nutritional value. That means that also the protein content of the maize, but also the wheat is increased by a certain percentage. Another point which is very interesting is that it's reducing the needs of fertilizers. Almost all the trials that are conducted in the graph I showed are done with 50% less fertilizers than the common conventional practice. It's quite interesting that you use 50% less fertilizers by doing the seed treatment and you produce 15% more. I think that sounds very sustainable, I would say. And it also improves the crop vigor, and that also can be very interesting for cattle feed when the biomass is very important. Still, I would say we are not there. I think we still can develop and are developing the product by adding other microbials to make it perform better. We do that also according to the different conditions. Let's say we can do it per crop. Let's say the treatment we do for the maize is totally different from the wheat, but also can differ from the sorghum and rice and probably other crops. Depends also on the soil type. When you have sandy soils with low or a minimum organic matter, means also that the added value of the microbials can be much more interesting than we have heavy soils and soils that are rich with with organic material. It depends also on the disease pressure. We can also tailor-made let's say, the composition of the product according to the disease or the dominant disease in the soil. And of course, also the soil temperature might be an interesting factor that we take in consideration, and we can adjust also according to that parameter also. This is a very short and very quick and very brief, let's say, a compact presentation about the product panoramics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Youssef. With 21 seconds to go, so you finished ahead of the game. Colleagues, that wraps up this session, our innovation presentations. My thanks to all 5 of our presenters. 2 of them have already departed for the airport, so let's give them another round of applause, and thank you for the innovation. Importantly, thank you for sharing the knowledge so that we can all benefit. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now break for tea. Just a quick reminder, it's the same procedure. Those who have the little logo below the barcode through the curtains, and the rest grab something in the exhibition hall. We would like to reconvene and start in 20 minutes, so by 1:45, if you could be back, and then the ambassador will take us through his discussion on saving Africa's wildlife. Agriculture is part of the solution. So we'll see you at 16:45, right? At 4:45. Thank you very much.